Oh man, I'm so confused. You might be confused too. We're going over concert photography access passes in this episode, and right off the top of my head, I counted probably 10 different kinds of access passes, and we're going to go over each one and show you what they mean. So hold tight. I'm Robert Maxfield. I'm a concert photographer in Dallas, Texas, and welcome to Max Concert Photography. And this is where we go over everything concert photography related. So, if that's what you're here for, fantastic. So, today we're going to talk a little bit about access passes and what the different types of access passes are and what they mean to you. I go over a lot of forums on Facebook and Discord and various places like that. And one of the big things I saw over the last couple of weeks was somebody complaining that somebody was a complete idiot when it came to how they handled their access pass. And it may not be their fault because I don't know if people realize, but I, off the top of my head, thought of about 10 different variants of access passes for concert photography. And the very first one is probably the easiest. I wrote them all down so people know. But the first one is the band or somebody related with the band tells you, hey, it's all right. So you go and shoot them. There's no contract, there's no paperwork, there's no nothing. This quite frequently happens in clubs or places like that where you can walk in and say, and have this happen. If you know somebody with the band or the band's there and sees you with a camera and says, hey, what are you going to do? You're going to take pictures. And you ask if you can. They say, well, hey, that's all right. So that's the first type of access is the band saying, okay, go ahead and take pictures. Okay, the next variation of getting access to photograph a concert is the plain old, yeah, you can do it, which is verbal, but getting it in writing. And sometimes this happens quite a bit when you're going through the internet and you see a band that you want to photograph and you write them and say, hey, I want to photograph you and this is who I am and what I do. And they say, yeah, okay, that's fine. And that's where you leave it. So what you do with something like that is you take your correspondence with the band and what they said and you print it out and you put it in your camera bag just in case something happens. But the second kind of access pass is in writing and the band says, yeah, okay. So the next one is pit and area and front of house. Okay, this can happen a lot of ways because what you can do is the band may say okay, there may not be any kind of problem with that. You can walk in and do it. They may tell you no, you're going to shoot from the front of house, from the soundboard, something like that. But they don't give you any other restrictions other than that, and they just say, hey, this is where you can go and this is what you can do. So that's the third kind of access for shooting concerts. The fourth kind is restricted access to the pit or front of house. And that usually means the first three songs or and no flash. And they may have other restrictions that they want to do. You can't get on the side. There's no interaction with the band, anything like that. You are let in the pit. You photograph. You do your three songs or whatever they tell you to do, and you're gone. You're out of there. Okay. Doesn't mean in this case that you can't shoot the rest of the show from anywhere in the crowd, but what it does is this is the restrictions for this kind of access that they have. Nowhere does it say that you are with the band. So if the band sends you send the band an email introducing yourself and they come back and they say, yeah, it's fine, go ahead and do it, you have access. That does not mean you are with the band. Okay? So there's been cases where people go into the back behind the stage and start interacting with the band. They probably even get on the tour bus for all I know, and be in a third bunk on the left. Use your common sense. This does not mean that you are a member of the band. And also be respectful of the artist, because what happens is while they're back behind stage, they are getting into their zone. They have places called, I don't know where the term comes from unless it was green, the green room, where they relax, get psyched up, and ready to go to perform in front of a crowd. And it's real important not to give them any kind of stress or hard time at all before they go on stage. So you want to be very careful. You are not a member of the band at this point. You're not a band member. You're not a you don't work for the band. You don't do any of that. So don't act like you do. Restricted access with guidelines. Full show, including 3 in the pit and front of house for the remainder. So what that means is you've conversed back and forth with the manager or the artist, and they said, we want you to shoot. You can shoot here and here and here, and this is what we want you to shoot. Prime example, right off the top of my head, I shot Aaron Watson at Billy Bob's. It's been a couple years now, and Aaron sent a list of the way he likes certain photographs to look and the way he wants to be shot. As a matter of respect, I followed his guidelines. So I shot him in these certain angles. I also shot him in some little bit different angles, but those are a little different. I don't just go plaster those out there. So, but he said, I want this kind of thing, or I'd like this kind of thing, I'd like that kind of thing. And then I sent a Google Drive location for his team to go through the photographs. And in this case, I let them use whatever they wanted to use, simply for being as polite and nice and easy to deal with as they were. So thanks, Darren Watson. We appreciate you a lot. 3 from the pit or front of house, and you're done. Okay. In this case, you get 3 songs. You're either in the pit or you're in the front of house or by the soundboard, and after that, you're either escorted out of the venue or you're taken to a chair or seat, and you cannot bring your camera to bear anywhere within that time frame. So after those 3 songs, we did a shoot of AJ Croce. Man, awesome show. AJ, when at the end of the night when he does his duet with his father, eerie but really, really cool. So thank you, AJ. We appreciate it. In AJ's case, we were in an auditorium with 400 people, and we were escorted in, and we were told we were going to be shooting anywhere from the soundboard laterally across to each wall, and we were covered for the first 3 songs, and that was okay. I'll show you some of the shots from that later in the video. But after the first 3 songs, they came and got me, the people that escorted me, and they took me to my seat in the seating area, and they set us down next to the family. This is where the families of the band were actually seated, and we got to converse with them, and we actually sent them some pictures. Awesome experience, man. I'm telling you, if this made our year. And if you haven't seen Croce Plays Croce, man, you need to do it. It's incredible, great experience, and the people were fantastic. So that's our restricted access, and 3 from the pit and 3 from the or 3 from the front of the house, and done. Media access pit, or from the pit or front of house is the next one. This means you've got media access because you're working for the media. You're working for a magazine, a website, or some kind of thing like that, and it's got a lot of the same guidelines, except you get credential badges, and they when you go to walk through the security gate, the security guard knows the media badge that you're wearing, and on that there's probably a dozen different kinds of security badges. I've seen everything from stickers to lanyards to wrist bracelets or whatever, or straps. But what that does is the colors or whatever the pictures or however they look tells security what you need and where you're allowed to go. Doesn't mean you need to go all the way back. Doesn't mean you need to be on stage. Doesn't mean, no, it nowhere says that. But each individual level of security pass tells you what you're going to be allowed to do and tells security what to do. If you're an idiot and you decide, hey, it'd be really cool to get up on stage with them, unless they've asked you to get on stage, don't do it. Don't do it at all. It's dangerous, and you'll get thrown out and ejected. And you'll interrupt the show, so that's not fun either, and embarrass yourself for a long time. All area access. All area access is the next one, or AAA if you want to call it that. All area access. Do you really have all area access? Probably not. That doesn't mean you have access to the third bunk on the left in the tour bus. It doesn't mean you have all access to do whatever you want. Use your common sense and treat it with respect. It's a very high level of access, not given to everybody, but it normally allow you through security. It'll allow you behind the stage. It'll allow you to the areas where they have meet and greets and things like that. Don't interrupt. Be observant. Be polite, and do what you're there to do. And don't act a fool. Be cool. Band interaction. Unless the band walks up to you and starts talking to you, be cool. Stay out of their way. Do what you do. I've had several band members while I'm backstage come up to me and start talking to me, and in some cases, I didn't have a clue who the hell they were until I got home and go, until I saw them on stage and go, hey, there they are, and then I got home and figured out who they are, and that made that experience even better because they were polite and I wasn't being overbearing. I was staying out of their way. None of this tells you it's all right to go on stage with the band at any time. Unless the band asks you specifically or tells you specifically they want photographs from you being on stage, don't do it. Stay back and let them have their space. More different kinds of access. Working for the band and their restrictions. When you work for the band, you follow their guidelines and their requests, and you do what they request you to do. Pretty simple. Working for the venue and their restrictions. In this case, you're working for the place where the concert's being held, and you follow their restrictions according to what they ask you to do. They want you to, where they want you to be, how they want you to behave, that kind of thing. Working for the media and their restrictions. If your media has guidelines for what they want you to do, then you need to follow those guidelines, and as long as they don't interfere with the venue's guidelines and the artist's guidelines, do what you're there to do and follow your instructions. No access. Oh, I forgot, working for yourself. If you're working for yourself, and in some cases a lot of festivals that are public festivals that don't have any kind of you don't have to pay to get in or anything like that. You're working for yourself. Be respectful. Stay as unnoticeable as you can. Stay out of the way, and don't try to get back past security unless somebody tells you can go back there or something like that. And then when you get back behind the stage in the pit area or wherever, be very highly aware of what's going on and stay out of people's way. That's the best thing to do. Then the next one, no access. Well, no access means no access. Doesn't mean it hadn't happened in the past. I'm going to tell you, back in the old days, when they first started saying there was no access for photographers in the arena, and they started saying that on tickets, nobody wanted to hear that. So what happened is, I will admit it, in some of the days we used to, our girlfriends used to sneak in cameras in the bottom of their great big purses, because that was fashionable at the time, and nobody wanted to dig through a bag full of snot rags. So we'd put our cameras in there and our lenses and pull them out in the mid-concert, and that's how At that time, we got concert photos. That's been a long time ago, and that doesn't happen anymore. When you go to a place, like an arena show, they have metal detectors and stuff like that, and the biggest way to get thrown out is to get caught with your stuff that doesn't fit the bill. They have some cameras. I've got a Nikon Coolpix P6000 that I use for small things, but I don't have a need hardly for that. I think I've used it once, maybe twice in the last 4 years. For anything. Trans-Siberian Orchestra or somebody like that was the last one I did. That's the last show I did like that, and I didn't even try to get press passes or media on that. Stage access. We finally get to it. When, where, and how much. The band, if you're working for the band, or the band says specifically, this is where you need to be and this is where you can go, that's what you do. You stay out of their way, you don't do something stupid, and you prep for that typically. Man, I just hate it. I just hate it when the battery goes dead or my memory card gets full and you have to unload. I got to get bigger memory cards for doing videos. But anyway, we're talking about stage access and some of the things you need to know about that. When a band tells you this is where you can go and this is what you can do when you're on stage, follow the directions because there's electrics and stuff up there. It's dangerous. Be careful. Don't overstep your bound. Don't get in the way. Don't, for Pete's sake. I know I will admit I wear fluorescent orange when I go to festivals so my assistant can spot me in the crowd. But when you're on stage, you don't want to be seen on stage most of the time. Wear your blacks, be dressed appropriately, and stay out of the way. So the next thing is touring with the band. If you're touring with the band, you're a guest of the band, or you're an employee being employed by the band, and that gives you a whole different set of rules to go by, most of which the band will tell you where they want you, what they want you to do, they want you to do it, and when you can do it. So follow those guidelines, and you're being paid. At that point, when that happens, you could say I'm with the band. Until then, rarely can you say I'm with the band because you're really not. You're with yourself or media or venue or something, but you're not actually being with the band unless you have specific guidelines from the band that say you're with the band, or you're being paid by the band at that point. So if you get a media pass and you say, and it says, oh, I'm with the band, be sure you are with the band for sure. And that's pretty important. Oh, and one of the things I forgot to say, if you find anything you like in this video, great. Press the like button. Stay up to date with all our videos on concert photography. We try to give you information that you'll get nobody else will give you. You'll get it no other place if we can. And like and subscribe. We do appreciate it. We're still doing fairly well. We're growing our channel. And until next week, man, thanks for viewing. We'll see you then. If you got any likes, if you got any comments, concerns, confusions, anything like that, man, put them in the comments, and we'll reply to your comments. And we love hearing from you. Thanks a lot. See you later. Bye.